And I appreciate you guys coming in on your free time. I know, time is precious, so I always appreciate that you guys took time out of your day to join us for this. Okay, we're going to set sacred space. So, tonight, Turtle was calling me. And it could be, I sat with it. Why was Turtle calling versus Drum or, Sacred Sage or anything like that? And it's the feeling that we kind of feel everything's moving slow right now. And when I mean slow, it's like things aren't opening, we don't get to see our family, we don't get to interact. And so it's always also about a time of reflection, of going within and who we are. And so that's why I think Turtle is calling us tonight for us to clear. So a rattle uses sound to break up energy. So we don't always have to use sage or Palo Santos or any of those things. Some of those we can't use. So whenever you use a rattle, I always connect my energy to my hand chakra and I greet it and I say, give it thanks. And then you just kind of go around in this space. And you can hear that harsh, each rattle has a different one. This one's pretty intense because it really breaks things up. And so when our energy gets broken up, then you always just take a deep breath and you go right into your heart center. So one of the messages I've been really getting is I've been getting a lot of stuff around mother energy. And so when I say mother energy, that is just not like we just think of Mother Mary. And it's absolutely a facet of that, but it's also Sacred Mother Earth. It is also the energy with White Buffalo Woman. It is accumulation of just mother energy in general. And so when I think of mother energy, I think of the energy of creation, right? It's such an amazing energy. In creation, we always think of birthing into life, but creation can mean so many different things. It's the creation of our soul, our spirit, our expression of ourselves. It's the creation of who we are inside, and people don't realize that, but it's also the creation of knowledge. We are the birthing of that knowledge, that foundation, that solidified space. And so also with creation, it brings in life, and also it's the energy of possibilities. And that is one of the energies that I've been keep on hearing. We feel like we're going through this huge transformation and shift, and the energy's heavy right now. Let me tell you, I know a lot of people are seeing a lot of their shadow pieces are coming up and they're right in your face. There's a lot of the pieces of our relationships and their mirrors and how they really reflect and what is that looking like. We're seeing pieces of the inner parts of ourselves that we may have kind of put away, kind of buried for a long time, and now that we're in this kind of more quiet solitude confinement that we're going through with COVID, these pieces can no longer be so hidden, and so they're coming up to the forefront. And so that can feel overwhelming. It can feel anxiety provoking. It can feel like, crap, I don't want to deal with this on top of everything else right now. And so instead of taking it as an opportunity of like all this stuff coming up and why am I going through this, is taking it as an opportunity for the possibilities of how you can transform and transmute this energy. And so what do I mean by that? It's taking the opportunity of using some tools for self-healing, and that could be around, sound therapy, the vibrations. We think we're so in this physical body, so we tend to work from this physical state. My body, this is what I know. I'm walking this planet and this earth. But what we forget and we tend to lose track of is that we have our other energetic bodies, which is our spiritual, our emotional, and our mental. Those are all on the energetic realm. These are all in the other parts. They don't have a physical body that we work from. And so those are the ones that are really being called forth right now. Those are the pieces that are, shouting, hey, hey, you know, let's work on me, let's shift me, let's do some inner work to change the vibration and the energy in those other fields. And so it's easy to work on the physical, and the physical is like working out, your diet and stuff. But it's harder when we go into these other energetic realms. It's, you know, what do you mean I have to look at emotions? I have to look at limiting beliefs. Oh my God, I don't want to look at that past trauma. And it can be overwhelming, and it can be even consuming at times. And so it's learning how you not let it take over, that the emotions don't become your driver, that you learn how to come into more of a stable state with the emotions. And I say it's like marrying your emotions with the balancing of the energy with like meditation and things like that. You're marrying them. It's learning how to go into a place that, like I said, the emotions aren't the driver, it's your wheel in life. So what does that look like? It's taking two different pieces. It's like trying to face it all at once. You're going to set yourself up for failure. So you take one piece at a time. So what does that look like? Okay, so right now, let's just say an example is working through anxiety. So you have all this anxious anxiety. And so it's sitting there going, okay, what is triggering me with this anxiety? Is this something valid here and now? And really sitting there and taking a look. So this may be meaning you take a journal with you when you're going out to say, okay, what is triggering me? Is this reminding me of something from the past? Is this reminding my brain of something I didn't feel safe in? And so this is why the anxiety is coming up. Or is it something that I don't feel safe right here and now? And then this is why the anxiety is coming up. It's really starting to identify the emotions that lay in this physical body and space and how we project that out. And so it could be, one of the things is like I did that anxiety toolbox to give you some things and how to settle the anxiety. So say we're in a full-blown panic attack and I'm having a hard time of settling this down. Well, there's some tools that you can do. You want to change the brain. You want to change the course that it's doing, because right now it's on its spin out. It's on its hamster wheel. It's just going and going and going and going and going. Well, we need to take the hamster wheel off. So we got to kind of almost shock the brain to do that. So, you know, doing sour candies, you know, biting into a lemon, doing, one of my favorite ones is that you change positions where you put your feet and legs up against the wall. You can even get an ice cube and go right into the back of your neck. Change it. And then once you feel yourself coming down, then write down. Like, start identifying the emotions there. Start looking at, you know, I used to use these face cards with the daycare kids that used to, you know, show emotions to say, okay, today you're feeling, are you sad? Are you angry? Are you disappointed? Start being able to connect to those emotions, because you got to remember, our emotions are huge generators of energy. They project in a huge way, and they have to go someplace. If we don't give it a grounding rod for that expression, for that energy, it's going to manifest physically in our body. And that's where it's manifesting with the anxiety. It can be manifesting with insomnia. It can be manifesting with depression. So we have to give that emotion a grounding rod. We got to give it some kind of expression, because remember, energy is always moving. It's always flowing. And if we're not giving that piece of that energy and that emotion, because they're the same, a grounding or a direction to go, it's going to manifest physically in our body. And then that means we're going to get sick, we're going to get, you know, depressed, we're going to have anxiety, we're just going to feel the heaviness and think everything is really heavy and dark and that there's no light. And so it's start giving that an expression. And one really easy way, but I'm going to tell you, it sucks. I'm not going to lie. It sucks to do. But if you do it, I promise you'll start seeing a shift and a change in your energy. The way it's being expressed is journaling. It literally switches. And I'm not talking about journaling and texting on your phone, typing in notes. I'm talking you getting a pen and paper and you start writing down your feelings. You start writing down those emotions. You start giving it a thing. And one really simple way to start doing that is at night. Really sit down with your day and say, 10 minutes, I'm asking 10 minutes of your time each night. And I bet you if you do this for 30 days, you're going to see a shift with this energy expression, with this energy in your house and in your body. Okay? So sit down and you sit there and the first question I want you to ask is, was there something that upset me today? Did something not feel right? What was it? Kind of detail that situation and identify the emotions that were there. Okay, so I know I got angry, but was it really angry? And I'll put this up on my website. It's called a feelings wheel. And any of you guys who've done classes have this resource. But I want you to start down, okay? It breaks it down. So it says, okay, I was angry, but I really wasn't angry. I felt that I felt unheard. I didn't feel seen. And so you can use the journaling for that piece. It shifts you, it moves it, and it does something differently in the brain. Like, they have scientific proof that when you journal, it takes the emotion away from the charge of what's going on. So then it doesn't manifest physically. So when you think of journaling, think of it as the grounding rod for your emotions, okay? And start identifying, okay, what upset me? And then I always want you to always look at what brought you happiness or joy. What brought me happiness or joy today? Even if it's this small, simple thing of, okay, I went outside and I felt the sun on my face, or, my coworker made me laugh with their joke, or things like that. And then after that, I want you to write 3 things that you're grateful for. Anyone knows that has worked with me how gratitude shifts our lives. Our lives become this huge sponges for abundance and gratitude. So we have to move into that piece of gratitude. And Tatiana was just saying how journaling really saved her. And that's a huge thing, because journaling gives us that expression. It gives us that release of that emotions. And this is a simple way of doing it, because, some of us may not be able to afford to go to counseling or some other things. But we have these beautiful tools and resources that we can use right here, paper and pen. Wow, right? Nature's resources with trees and ink and all that stuff. So we have to limit how do I want to say this? We don't want to get stuck that, it's just journaling. No, think of it as that grounding rod, giving that voice and expression. And so maybe you don't like writing, or you have hand issues or anything like that. What's another way that you can do this expression? You can do that through talking to a close friend about it. Give it a voice. Release it. With my brother's suicide this year, I carried so much guilt and so much shame. And I've had it, thankfully, one of my closest friends, I've had to express that to her. And she always holds that space for me to give that safe place to do that expression with. So always make sure when you're doing it, or like if you're voicing with it, is someone safe. That is someone that you feel non-judgment from. It's someone that accepts you for completely who you are and stuff like that. If you don't feel that with someone, don't use them as that container or vessel. They will not be able to hold space, and they can actually cause more harm than not. So that is one way that we can give it an expression. So another way that we can do is, remember, we're working with all the energetic pieces, is using sound. So how is sound so important to us? Well, sound is a vibration, right? We're all these vibrational beings. Our soul and our spirits are vibrational beings. Ourselves are these beautiful vibrational beings. So sound connects to that vibration. It helps support that vibration. It helps, say your energy is really low and you're vibrating down here. When you do certain sounds, like the solfeggio sounds, they help raise your vibration. They help retune your vibration, is the best way I can describe it. It's a retuning. And so you don't have to do this where you're like listening to like you were when you're jamming out with music or in the car. No, you can do this when you're doing chores. You can do this when you're going to sleep at night. As long as you can barely hear the sound, that vibration is going out into the space and it's working with your auric field, it's working with your meridians, it's working with your chakras, all your energy centers. And it's such a simple thing to do just with sound. And think about what you want to work on. There's certain sounds that correlate with certain ones. Like 436 is all around the heart chakra. So say you're working on a lot of stuff around forgiveness or self-love, which I think most of us are working on at some piece and some level. So you can do the 436, and that will help boost that heart chakra. It'll help boost that energy. They have tons of different things that go over it. So here's the ones with the esophageal sound. So 963 is the crown chakra, 852 hertz is the third eye chakra, 741 is the throat chakra. I wouldn't do crown and eye if you're sleeping, if you don't want spirit energy and angels coming and doing some major class work with you, especially all my little psychic medium friends. You'll be turning yourself up and you're like, oh my God, my whole room was filled with the spiritual professors and classrooms. So with those, I tend to wait until I'm awake and alert because, you'll be having some spiritual classes. 639 is another heart chakra one. That's the one I tend to like when I'm working with the heart chakra. 528 hertz is the solar plex. So say you're not feeling like your confident, vibrant self. Like you just don't feel like, oh, I really got this. Start working with that sound. It will help build it up. It will help move it into a different direction. 412 is sacral. And some people just tend to think of sacral as like the chakra for our sexuality, but no, it's such a sacred chakra because it's the place of our emotions, our expressions, our creativity. The one that we're just talking about tonight, with Mother Energy, is our sacral. And we don't even realize it's the place of our intuition. And so if you're really wanting to build that, or you're working through something really heavy, really focus on that chakra. It's one of my favorites to work with. And 396 is our root and our foundation. And if you're having trouble to figure out, okay, which one do I start with? There's all of our chakras. Always start with the root. You always want a strong, solid foundation for safety, security, balancing. And that's what the root chakra does. It brings in that great balancing of foundation of safety and home. Okay? So one of the things that they were talking about is they wanted me to go over some of the things about a new moon. And so why is a new moon so important? Well, it's the beginning of a new cycle. When we think of the phases of the moons, and in farming traditions, they literally would plant on a new moon, because the soil comes up and brings the water up to the surface more. So it not only feeds the seed from the bottom and the top, it does this whole kind of encompassing of the seed on a new moon. And then the farmers knew that. I just loved the idea of it. It's considered a growth phase. So what does that mean? It's an ideal time for transformation, for change. This is the great time to plant those seeds of intentions for the next few months. What do you really want to bring in? What is that piece of yourself that you want to really work on within yourself, that you want to manifest forward or grow forward? That's the biggest thing. And so always think of the potentials. Like, I love the idea of a seed. Your potentials, your intentions in a seed, right? We always think it's, encapsulated and that it's stuck. But no, it has such huge potential and energy to break free and bust through that seedling to grow into the fullest potential that you feed it. That's the thing. That you feed it, that you nurture it. One of the messages that I was getting is that we're being so critical of ourselves right now. And so what does that mean? It means We tend to beat ourselves up more than anybody else do. We tend to have those harsh negative words for ourselves instead of loving, enduring, and that beautiful support of energy of love and light. I know it's one of the things that I have to really work on myself is my negative self-talk that I do for myself. So one of the words I'd really want you to start embracing is the word grace. And so what do I mean by the word grace? Being graceful with yourself. Be loving with yourself. Be compassionate. Think of it of a child when they're learning something. You're not harsh and critical to them. You're very loving, you're engaging, you're encouraging. And I encourage you guys to do the same with yourselves. That's what I see when I use the word grace. Be graceful, be kind, be loving, be nurturing. We're in this human experience, and our constant battle every day is with our ego and our logic, right? And with that battle, in that war, we're going to have mistakes. We're going to have lessons that didn't always go the way that we wanted it to. So what does that mean for you? That means when that happens, that you go into grace and you forgive yourself and you realize, okay, I learned this lesson. Now it's time for me to go into a different direction because this no longer fits or no longer moves me in the way that I want to move. And that's including our relationships, our jobs, but mostly with our inner self. And so that's why a new moon has so much potential. It's like this recalibration of energy. I love that. Recalibration of our energy. Just because we set something last month and that didn't come forward, well, let's do it different this month. Maybe we put the energy into action into a different way. So what do I mean by that? So what if I want to working on pieces of my self-love? And last month, I didn't do so good with my diet or my exercise. I'm not going to sit there and beat myself up because last month was a little bit rough. This month, I'm going to say, okay, we're starting a new month, a new way. So this A and B didn't work for me, so maybe I try C and D this time and see if that moves me into a place of action more, or more of a loving energy for myself, for my expression of that self-love and self-care. That's what I mean. Take it into little bits and pieces. Don't feel overwhelmed and overconsumed, and how that is brought in and how does that look. So that also brings in creativity. This is the time of, when I think of creativity, I always think of the birthing of the Big Bang, right? We were literally this little compressed energy of the size of a pea. We were so condensed, and all the matter in the universe was in this little pea, and it was so raging hot and so restricted and had no movement. And then all of a sudden, something changed, and they're still trying to figure out what that catalyst was. The scientists are still figured out, but I think it's the catalyst of creativity, or the longing of something more, or that longing of knowledge. And so I believe that for me, that catalyst was that with the Big Bang, and then all the matter spread across the universe, right? And then that's how we're all connected, because at one point or another, we were all connected as one. And so that we tend to see ourselves as separate, but we all carry out pieces of each other, pieces of Earth, pieces of the universe and stars. I love that. When I was in the planetarium as a kid and I would hear, oh, you're made of stardust, my eyes would be like, I'm made of stardust? Oh, that's so great. And so I love that. So instead of feeling like we're not connected, we're not part of that, I really want you to start thinking about the creativity. And creativity to me doesn't just come in our mind. Creativity comes from our heart. Our heart place. Our heart is the biggest generator of all of our chakras. It is bigger than our auric field. It goes bigger than any of that. Our heart is the place for everything. Everything is connecting to the heart to get its answers. We think it's the brain. No, the brain is like subpar. Really research the information from heart math. They've done huge studies around the energetic field of our heart space, how it's connected. If you teach with your guides, they'll always tell you to go into your heart space, connect to your heart for the answers. And so this is one place that I want to kind of teach that. Whenever you, like, if you struggle, because it's hard sometimes to move into that heart space, I tend to touch. I'll tap right here in the center of my chest. You can rub, you can just hold place. That's why you'll see a lot of mudras right into the heart center. You know, when they're connecting, like when I can never do this one, but they're always connecting right at the heart center. And so what I want you to do is I want everyone to figure, you know, right now, find that place for your heart. Is it a simple touch? Is it your hands? Is it like me where you like to tap? It could just be the visualization of right at your heart. And I want you to pick what is best for you right now. Take a second right now to see what that heart space looks like for you. And then as you get that, you know, we're going to connect our breath to our heart center. So I want you to take a deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in and release. Okay, one more breath. Now close your eyes and just ask, what is the one thing my soul is calling in for me? What is my higher self asking? And know the answers are very short. They're very direct. They're never this long story. They're never this validation of something, because the heart just knows. It's connected to that universal knowledge. It's connected to that source energy. And so it just knows. So if you're starting to hear a story, or you're starting to hear why it needs to be valid in that way, that's not your heart speaking. That's your ego, and that's your logic. And so then I would just encourage you again to take those deep breaths, tap that heart center, and move into that space again. So I want you to ask that question really clearly. We're going to take a minute as you get those answers. And did everyone get an answer? I'd love to see your responses. So if you can text me a little message, I'd appreciate that. So this next piece we're moving into is how we're going to connect this heart answer we did with this new moon ceremony. And why do I do ceremony? Ceremony is so powerful. It connects to all the energy. The stuff that we use connects to that energy. So like we use turtle for opening up and breaking up our space, and to remind us, even though that things feel slow, that it's still moving, that we can go within to find the answers. Oh, Peyton said hers was truth. Oh, I just love that. Truth. Wow, how powerful is that, right? And so we're going to work with some of nature's finest tools, which is plant medicine. And so we're going to be working with bay leaves, or laurel, for my technical herbal friends. And oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful thing. The thing is, if you don't have bay leaf, you can use a piece of paper, and we can just set the intention and the energy of bay leaves. We always think that we have to have the physicalness of that item, and guess what? We don't. Because if we know what the energetic, if we know that essence, like I just shared that picture of you, you can put that piece of paper and say, I'm adding the essence of bay leaf to this paper. It doesn't need to have that physicality to have it. Ooh, Susie has a great one. Forgiveness of self. Tatiana, it's okay to be still. Oh, I love that one, right? Sometimes we don't give ourselves permissions just to be here, to be now. We tend to get in our rat race of our society. We have been taught that it's go, go, go. But you know what spirit is? It's stillness. It's quiet. It's within. It's in that heart place. And so it's learning, like we have to relearn that again to go into that place of stillness, to be okay with where we're at and who we are. Ooh, I love that. Thank you. Oh, Christy, I love yours. Laughter and peace. Wow. Those are profound. Laughter is one of the highest vibrations we can go to. When I'm feeling low or depressed, you'll know because I'll have the comedy radio show on. I'm watching my favorite comedy shows like Malcolm in the Middle or Modern Family. I have to raise my own vibration. I don't let it sit in that stillness of the murkiness of the sadness or stuff. And then I acknowledge, but I acknowledge the sadness and I journal it or I talk it out with a friend or one of my elders. I don't let it sit in my space. That's the biggest thing is you don't ignore that feelings. You give it an expression. You give it a place to go so it doesn't sit there. But I don't sit there and wallow it. I don't go swimming in it. I don't make it my home. I say, nope, I see you. Nice visiting you. Time to get out the door. Kick that out, But we're all going to have this. We're all going to have this up and downs. And I know we're all experiencing that right now. And Isa has a great one with relax. Relaxation is such a hard one for us to go. It's kind of part of being in that stillness, that part of that being. So we're going to go back into Bay. And why is this such a sacred herb? It can cleanse and balance our space. It banishes negativity. It communicates, they believe it communicated your wishes to the gods. So the Greeks and Romans believed this as a really sacred herb for your communications to the gods. And it was been known, if you work with like the pagan Wiccan ways, they use this to break curses. And so that's a very powerful herb. It's that shrub, like that picture I showed you. You can cook with it. You can have tea with it. It's a great one that we add in our stews and our stuff. It has this beautiful, like almost spicy, hot little, I just love it. It's one of my favorite ones that I'll even diffuse in the diffuser. So this one, I know some of you guys don't want to do any kind of burning, and that's okay. We don't have to. Some of you guys may be in areas that the area is too hot, so I don't want you to think that you have to do a burning one on this one. We don't. Just, any kind of water, any kind of the elements is transforming. Anyone knows that I'm just a huge component when it comes to burning. So I want you to think about the answer you got. Ooh, Kevin, I love yours. Restore your heart. That's a huge one. And we're working on that heart center. And I would actually use different words instead of restore the heart. I would say heal the heart. I would say move it back into its place of balance and to move it back into its place of harmony. It just got off kilter, right? That's all it did. So one of the things as I was guided to this beautiful prayer this morning, and it's all around that whole beautiful mother energy. It's all around that energy of creativity, of connection, but also around the energy that we're going through right now. So I'm going to read this to you right now. Holy Mother, Gaia, Mother Mary, White Buffalo Woman, Grandmother Spider, Lady Guadalupe, the Queen of all the angels, and to Mother to us all, we call on you today to grace us with your loving energy, to bring protection to us, to our loved ones, for our highest good. We know we're in a time of trials and learning right now. Let us see through your compassionate eyes so that we can see where we need to step into patience and kindness for ourselves and for others. We call forth the rains for the raging fires. We call for stillness of the raging seas. We call forth peace for those that have angst within. And we call forth that people see the beauty of each other's light. And so that we also see the beauty of our inner light, that we see our light. And we call forth strength and endurance to move each day, to find joy in the small moments with love, your children. And I was just like, oh, I almost teared up when I got this today. I was like, oh my gosh, that what a loving prayer she brought in. She brought that in for us to call forth, for us to work with. And mostly when I heard that, it was about us loving ourselves, seeing the light of who we are in that expression, and to move into grace with ourselves. That is the biggest thing I want you to take away from that today. So we just opened up our prayer. So whenever we set an intention, this is where I see people kind of go wrong with some of this stuff, is they set their intention during their ceremony. But what you forget is that we got to connect to the energy of it. And how do you connect with that way? You connect it with your emotions. And how do you do that? You visualize it. You see that happy thing happening. You see that relationship mending. You see yourself healing and you being in your higher projection of self. You see, that abundance of money flowing in. You call it. We don't sit there and beg spirit and saying, please, 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 please bring this to me. No, we visualize it. We know it. We see it. We feel it. And that's the thing that we do. And that's where I see people get disconnected with their ceremonial rituals, as they forget to feel that piece of that intention. So as you guys, you're going to take your moment, write the piece that you received. Do you want one, Car? I can't reach you. Oh, okay. So you're going to write your things, get your marker. And I encourage you to write the ones you just received from your heart. Write that piece of what you want to do and work on. Here, Car, I'll give you this one. Just write whatever you want to bring in. It's the seeds. It's the seeds of your intention. Kari's like, well, what do I write? Write what you want to bring into. How do you want to work with that stillness? How do you want to work with that laughter and peace? How do you want to work with that relaxation? What does that mean? What does that show, and how does that manifest for you? I'm going to give people a few more seconds to write theirs. So whenever I work with herbs, it's the shaman in me. I'm sorry. Our breath is our prana, life force energy. It is the most valuable essence we pull in. I mean, we can only live a few minutes without air. Air fills our lungs. It feels, when babies, when they're born, that you're just waiting to hear that first gasp of air in. That first sign of life, that they're here and that they're present, right? And so I like to connect my breath whenever I'm working with herbs or anything to what I'm working with. And so I want you to get your piece. You can cup it in your hand, your piece of paper. That's okay too. And you just cup it and then blow and connect your life essence to this. Connect your energy to this herb. And then you're also going to start visualizing that piece of how that looks. So if I called in relaxation, I'm going to think about me relaxing on a beach, or I'm chilling and doing meditation, or I'm hanging out with my girlfriends around a fire, stuff like that. Visualize what that means for you. Okay, everyone, go ahead and start connecting with your breath. And then you want to get your burning vessel. And then I'm going to light mine because I know I'm inside and I have my burning vessel. But if you don't want to light yours, crumple it up. Turn it into a little piece of, turn it into little bits and pieces. And, ooh, can you hear her sparkle? She's just going up. So think about what you're manifesting as you're burning it. I always, when I'm working with the fire, I always say let it transmute what I need to let go of. to plant this new seed of intention that I'm calling forth, that it's connected to my energy, and so it is, right? And so it is. Kari, you want to burn yours? I'm going to give Kari hers real quick. Got it? All right. And if you don't want to burn, crumble it up. Put it into a bowl and then go bury it into the earth. If you have paper and you don't want to burn it, tear it up into tiny pieces, get a little bit of water, mix it in with the water until it gets really soft. Go give it in back to Mother Earth. Go give it to her. She'll transform. She'll give it the energy that it needs to move forth. It won't stay stuck. It won't stay in that energy. Okay? The other piece to this is spend time really visualizing this manifestation the next few days. Really calling it forth. Each morning you wake up calling that visualization of that manifestation of what you're planting. Because remember, we're farmers right now. We're the farmers and gardeners of our intention. We just can't plant it and not nurture it and care it and give it the energy that it needs to move forth. We got to give it some water. So what does that mean with the water? You know, water with your love, your attention, your visualization. The sunshine is the emotion that's connected with it. See those flowers, you know, coming together. Not flowers. The rays are your emotions of seeing it manifest. What does that mean? Oh, I feel happy. I can see myself happy because this is coming in. Or I see myself bringing joy with this piece of it. So those are going to be your job. That's your homework the next few days. If you guys did decide to burn it like I did, bury the ashes out in the ground when it's cool, give it back to Mother Earth. She's going to transform and use that energy. And remember, we're working with Mother today. She wants to help us. She wants to help manifest our dreams and our goals. So you call it forth when you bury it into her and give it to her. Okay. So we're going to close just the ceremony, and then I'm going to stay open for any questions or things that have been going on your mind spiritually lately, and we'll go over that piece. So today I always close with gratitude. And today I want to say I'm in gratitude for the amazing people that are in my life. I'm in gratitude for spirit that has come in to communicate to me so I can express it to you. I'm in gratitude for having an inner reflection, to being able to go into this time of cocooning so we can heal, that we can transmute and take this opportunity for the potentiality of growth, for the potentiality of creativity. And I'm also always in gratitude for all of you guys. So if you have a question, I'd love to answer. It doesn't have to be pertaining to this exact discussion that we had around the new moon energy. If you have a question, I'd love to answer any questions you may have. Oh, I got a question. Sorry, I'm not going to close yet. The idea that we have to be connected energetically with the things, with the things we want to bring in. Oh, I love that. That's one of the pieces that you connected to. I love that, Kevin, seeing that emotions need a channel. I promise once you start working with it and you're giving it a grounding rod, it's going to give you a whole different energy and perspective to work with. And I say, please give it 30 days with the journaling, guys. You know, give it some time, and I bet you're going to see huge changes. All right, everyone.